Okay. Right off the bat, I've got to say this is one of the worst, if not the worst movies I've seen in 2025. It's called Honey Don't. And before I get into the review, I just want to say this movie had about as close to hardcore HLA that you could get without crashing into NC-17 territory. And even that was not enough to save this piece of shit. And everyone knows I'm a sucker for lesbians. Today is Honey Don't, and God, I really wish they didn't. Apparently, it is the second of a supposedly lesbian B-movie trilogy, and boy, just stop now and take the tax write-off. So the movie starts off with some sexy chick looking at a car wreck. She removes a ring that will be pointless. By the way, the word pointless plot threads will be a theme for this movie. And we get pointless nudity like 2 minutes in. Why she decided to swim in the lake or river, whatever it was, a little bit, I don't know. Good shot, though. The opening titles are original, with the cast names like painted on buildings and shit, but I don't care. Just have traditional titles and let's get this movie on. By the way, this movie's like 90 minutes and it feels like 90 fucking years. So, it opens with Honey, who cares what her name is, basically waking up from a night of hot lesbian action with a more butchy construction worker lesbian. Again, this movie is a ton of nudity and girl on girl action. You should have at least gotten some of the horny teenage male gaze. Then, very quickly, she stops off at her sister's. By the way, you only see Honey's sister once in this movie, and her only character trait is that she has a lot of kids. Another one on the way. They live in a trailer park. And her whole sister's character arc is she doesn't have a man, but still can't keep her fucking legs closed. Never see her again. By the way, I don't know where all these kids sleep in this trailer. Trailers are not normally that big. They're one, maybe two bedrooms, a living room. What is she just have hammocks in one room? And then we cut to Chris Evans. He plays the villain. I don't know. His character's pointless too. Anyway, it starts off with him fucking some chick. And her not holding the mirror right or something. It's weird. Apparently he runs the local church, which is a front for a drug operation. Also, there's a sex cult. Makes sense. He's invoked by this Australian dumb character, which will go nowhere. Trust me, nothing in this movie means anything. There's a scene where one of the guys OD'd on the drug, whatever it is they're supplying. I think it's a fictional drug. I don't care if it's real or not. There's a grieving dad, trying to drag his dead son home. I think it's meant for laughs, but boy, it doesn't land. So Honey is interested in this case because apparently this chick that was a member of this church / sex called her on the phone, wanted to look her up, but she never officially did anything. Then she goes to the police station for a little more information. Of course, every man in this movie is a complete fucking moron. Like the guy, the detective throughout the movie who's played by, again, I don't care, constantly hits on Honey and doesn't get the hint that, yeah, she might like you as a dude, as a buddy, but you don't have the equipment she's looking for. At least the version of it she's looking for. And so she goes to the evidence locker room where Aubrey Plaza plays her character. And Plaza, she gets hotter as the movie goes on. But boy, in the opening shot, I don't know what the hell it was. If she had to lose 10 pounds or she did not look good in that shot. Okay, so another subplot of this movie. I'm not kidding. I think the guy who plays Captain Kirk in the new J.J. Abrams Star Trek, he's apparently waiting for a shipment of drugs. He plays a gay hooker. Anyway, he basically says, if you give me the drugs for free, I'll suck your fucking dick. Which, of course, the young Mexican teen has the normal, rational thought of, well, I could just nicely reject him and say, no, I want the fucking money. No, he decides to run him over and hit him with his car. The only legitimate laugh this movie got from me is when Captain Kirk's getting drugged by the car and eventually he smashes into a light post, but hey, I'm a sucker for GTA style of violence. So, Honey goes to the dead girl parents' house, and they're looking, and she's like looking around at her room, bunch of self-help books, bunch of bullshit. And then she pulls out her gown from the church, and the parents are like, well, we don't know what church she thing, and then right in front of everyone, a set of bondage gear falls out, so parents don't seem too amused by that. By the way, they look like they're grieving their daughter's death, like they're grieving their hamster. Also, when the daughter was wearing this outfit when she was going to church, couldn't they hear the chains and shit clanging around? I mean, anyway, so Chris Evans, he does this lame version of a preacher that would make even Jerry Falwell go, Jesus Christ, could you make it a little believable? Maybe that's played for a joke, but again, none of the jokes in this supposed dark comedy fucking land, and I love dark humor. So, like I said, he has this BDSM church as a front to sell his drugs and have his sex cult, but the sellers he uses are not the chicks or any adult. No, they're apparently violently homophobic teenagers. So the young drug dealer kills the blonde dude. No one cares about it because basically, there's this young Australian guy that's like a middleman that like runs the street level shit. Well, he kills the young Mexican guy's grandma. I believe abuela is grandma in Spanish. If I'm wrong, then I apologize to the Spanish-speaking world. Oh, okay. And again, another subplot. By the way, this subplot will go nowhere. So you think, after their fight, of course, the young Spanish kid stabs the Australian blonde guy to death. So you think he's going to go straight for him, and he is. He's going to go straight for him. So, Basically, all of the hot lesbian action did nothing for me. Like I said, and the sex scenes in this are pretty much as close as they can get to just a straight up porn. And I didn't care. The next time after Audrey Plaza and Honey, whatever, they have sex, the next thing she's washing her dildo and anal beads and all that shit in the in her sink. It cuts to then and trust me, this movie is just as confusing if you watch it. It cuts to him on a murderous rampage to kill Chris Evans. But he's having a three-way with two chicks in bondage gear, so he averts his eyes. So you're in a murderous rampage, intent on killing the man who basically had your abuela killed, but you're respecting two sluts' modesty. Very polite murderous rampage. So, of course, he gets killed by evil pastor. Anyway, Chris Evans does a horrible job as the as a villain. Her sister's eldest daughter, who you meet for like 1 second after she somehow needs to bring her blood-soaked sheets into the kitchen. I don't know any teenage girl that would do that. Most of them would say, "Mom, I need to see you in my room." So she's a thing after getting beat up by her abusive boyfriend. Of course, the boyfriend is, I don't know, MAGA or something. No one cares. The only thing that happens to him is Honey breaks his shotgun, which would be grounds to have her arrested. Because some double-barrel shotguns can be worth quite a bit of money. There's another HLA scene. And then again, another pointless sex scene. And then out of nowhere, towards like the last half hour of the movie, there's a creepy old man who keeps staring at Honey's niece. Who is he? Is he connected with the church? Is he connected with the drug cartel? Is he something else? Well, he's Honey and Honey's sister's dad, who apparently was abusive, but now is attempting to repair the bridge or something, but he gets rejected and he goes fucking nowhere. Literally, you could have cut him from the movie and nothing would have mattered. And apparently her niece is at the church, drives around. Chris Evans gets shot pointlessly and he dies, so he doesn't even get that's why I said I don't know if he's the villain of this movie or not. Normally the villain's death is a big deal. Then you find out that Audrey Plaza was the reason that the one girl got killed, and she's, I guess, the real villain of this. And she's on a path to punish men because of the patriarchy, but women willingly want to be subjugated by men. So if it's willing submission, that's their choice. And yeah, this movie just sucks. All around, just fucking sucks. It finally ends. And you're just sitting there going, what the fuck did I just watch? There were some good ideas in the movie. And supposedly it's the second in a trilogy, but just fucking stop. Like, it starts one plot thread and then either abruptly ends it or just forgets about it. There's like 9 or 10 subplots going on in this 90-minute movie. I'm not saying any of the actors are bad or any of the performances were particularly bad, because they didn't have any time to give a good or bad performance. Even the main character was all over the place. Honestly, you could remove any of these characters and the movie would be just fine. The only two you need is Honey and Audrey Plaza's characters because you need the HLA. And like, if you want to do that, that's fine, but then just make a straight up fucking porno. I hated this movie. I hated it. 1 out of 10.